Hey, beautiful people of the internet. How are you guys doing today? Hopefully great. Welcome to Budget Builds, where we use zero Forma and achieve maximum efficiency. In today's build, we're taking a look at Mag, aka the most underrated Warframe when it comes to endgame. Literally, Mag has been buffed I don't know how many times and people still say she's a trash Warframe. Trust me, Mag makes life so much easier. You just need to learn how to go and play her, because after this video you're going to be shocked to see how powerful she really is if you guys know exactly how to mod her, how to use her, and use the correct weapons strategically. But before I continue with the video any further, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like to support me or the channel any further, do remember to leave a like on this video. It always helps me out substantially. Spartan, click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos and streams. Just like every other frame, we're going to be going over their abilities. Now with Mag, we actually have received a good amount of reworks. Starting off with their first ability, we have Pull. Now normally, Pull would just simply go and pull the enemies and then they'll be pulled right past you. But thanks to the latest rework of Mag, now what happens is not only do they get pulled towards you, but a vortex gets created just like how Vauban's ball does work. The enemies will then be sucked into it like this little vortex like ball, and then you can just start hitting the enemies while they get crowd controlled. Pretty unique ability, very good one, especially if you want to get yourself, group up all the enemies and then just give yourself a little bit of breathing room. Next up is we do have Magnetize. This is basically Mag's bread and butter when it comes to killing the enemies. What happens is you put the enemies in this bubble and then you can go and magnetizing them. When you start shooting the bubble, you'll then go and increase your overall damage and punch through towards them. This particular ability is very good when it comes to locking down corridors and what makes Mag relatively strong. Next up is we do have Polarize. Once again, a very good ability, and it works like this. So depending on the faction you're fighting will determine the effect it'll have on them. So for instance, if you guys are fighting the Corpus, then you'll then be able to go and lower their shields, or if not completely go and remove them. If you guys are fighting the Grenier, you'll then be able to go and take away their armor. Next up is we do have Crush. Crush simply then goes and picks up the enemies in the sky and you can go and crush their bones. But if you guys do have the augment known as Fraction Crush, you'll then be able to go and lower their armor entirely, therefore absolutely going and decimating the Grenier. So here's the build for Mag. As you guys can tell at the top here, we don't have any Forma invested whatsoever because this wouldn't be an episode of Budget Builds now, would it? So what we've done is, as you guys can tell from the stats, we've got 169% power strength, 145% range, 175 efficiency, and neutralized our duration. So we've gone for an overall general build just because the fact that Mag's entire kit is relatively powerful and also does synergize really well. As for the build, as you guys can tell, we are going to be rolling around with growing power for more power strength. The more power strength we have, not only will we be dealing more damage, but we'll be able to go and strip the enemy's armor. The same can be said for Augur Secrets, Power Drift, and of course Intensify. The more power strength we have, the more damage we will deal, and also we'll be able to go and strip the enemy's armor. In order to go and strip the enemy's armor, you're also going to be needing an augment called Fracturing Crush. Fracturing Crush just allows you to go and lift the enemies up with your fourth ability, let that animation play out, and then when you guys take a look at the enemy, their armor will be fully gone. Just make sure that you guys have enough power strength and have this augment equipped. Otherwise, you're just going to be lifting them up and not, stripping the armor at all. Next up is we are going to be adding ourselves Stretch just so we can have a much bigger bubble and a much bigger area of effect. Because like I said, Mag is good at one thing, and that is closing off long corridors such as in the Void. If you guys didn't know, the Void has the most toughest faction in the entire game, and the Void is full of a lot of corridors, so Mag is absolutely perfect. Next up is we do have a primed continuity for more duration, just because the fact that we want to go and max out our efficiency. In order to go and do so, we need to go and add Streamline and Fleeting Expertise. But by adding Fleeting Expertise, our duration will then be lowered. That's why we've got ourselves Prime Continuity. Prime Continuity just allows us to go and neutralize our duration, therefore our bubbles do last a good amount of time or have some sort of duration, because you don't want to go and put out a bubble there and next thing you know the bubble is immediately gone. So just make sure that you guys go and add more duration to your build. Now I do suggest that we go and add an Exilus adapter. I didn't want to go and spend the extra platinum just because I just didn't feel like it was worth it. I'd rather go and spend the extra platinum on, like, other things that I do deem worth it. But what I recommend, you guys can just go and either add a power strength, or sorry, power drift, or something that gives you more strength or more range. It's really entirely up to you guys. If you want more damage, then add more, strength in general. Otherwise, you can leave it blank. As for the arcanes department, we are going to be using 2 arcane energize and of course molt augmented. Arcane energize, therefore we can go and replenish our energy economy without any worries whatsoever and not get caught with our pants down. And of course, we are going to be utilizing molt augmented. Molt augmented just gives us more power strength every time we go and kill somebody. So you guys are going to be receiving at like rank 5, I believe it is, you'll be receiving 60% additional power strength, therefore giving us well over 200% total power strength. And trust me, with growing power plus molt augment and all these other power strength mods, we're going to be dealing some insane damage. Now it is time for the synergy. Now we know that we can go and strip the enemy's armor very easy when it comes to mag. But if I will be honest with you, I personally wouldn't be using Crush to go and strip the enemy's armor, just because the fact that there's better ways of stripping the enemy's armor. But hey, if you guys want to go and add more damage like Eclipse, you can go and do it, but I like to go and make unique builds. I don't like copying other people. So the way this synergy works is as follows. We're going to be using the Tenant Arca Plasma, just because the fact that it's got a lot more punch through, it's got a lot of damage, and its most unique part is the fact that this particular shotgun's blast wave does ricochet off of hard surfaces. So therefore, you'll be able to you'll be having a much more effective time with the Corpus or even the Grineer once the armor has been stripped. This particular weapon absolutely shreds. However, I do suggest you guys go and get yourself a pure viral one when you go and kill your super soldier, just so that you guys have more damage. If you didn't know, if the Grineer only have flesh left, then the best and optimal, the best element to go and use is either viral or heat, depending on your current setup. So I do suggest a pure heat one. Next up is we are going to be using the Epitaph. Now the Epitaph is purely just a buffer to go and buff our damage. So we want to go and hit the enemies with 10 stacks of damage. If you didn't know, 10 stacks of viral multiplies any form of damage that does get thrown at the enemy by around 200 to 300%. I'm not too sure exactly what the numbers are. Just go and use Warframe Wiki for that. Now as for the build for our Arca Plasma, we went with a pure raw damage. As you guys can tell, we've got ourselves 2 Forma on this. I don't exactly remember what 2 polarities I added. It's been such a long time, but here's the build. Galvanized Hell for a lot more multi-shot. When you kill enemies, you'll get even more multi-shots, so you're going to see a lot more of those plasma waves in one single go. We are also going to be critting here and there, so we are going to be adding, Primed Ravage for much bigger crit based numbers. Blunderbuss so we can actually go and crit. Contagious Spread for our toxin damage. Vicious Spread for even more damage. Chilling Grass just so we can go and get that viral effect onto the enemies. Prime Point Black for more raw damage, and of course Vigilante Armaments for not only for the set bonus, we can have an enhancement to our crits, but of course we can also have an increase to our multi-shot. And last but not least, we are going to be rolling around with Primary Merciless. Primary Merciless not only does it give us an increase to our overall reload speed, but it also gives us an increase to our overall damage as well. If my math is correct, it should be around 360%, because you kill enemies, every enemy you go and kill, you'll get yourself 30% extra damage, which does stack up to 12 times. So that's a lot of damage, especially if you guys are going to be using the Epitaph, these mods, and of course the arcanes themselves. Now the Epitaph is the best weapon when it comes to priming the enemies. This is a zero former build, so feel free to go and add all these mods if you want. Remember, we're not going to go and kill the enemies with the Epitaph. We're purely just going to go and just prime them, so we can have those nice stacks of 10 of viral. So we've got ourselves Lethal Torrent for more multi-shot and fire rate. We've also got ourselves Frostbite and Deep Freeze to go and create viral. Pistol Pestilence and Pathogen Runs to give us even more viral damage, and of course Galvanized Diffusion to go and give us a ton of multi-shot. And that's really about it. You just want to go and add more viral to your build, just so that you can go and hit the enemies with more and more status chance as much as humanly possible. The quicker you guys can get to those 10 stacks of viral, the better. And this is a zero former build, as you guys can tell. I haven't really added anything onto it whatsoever. So the go-to weapon when it comes to using mag is to go and get yourself the Tenant Arca Plasma, and it has to be the Tenant version. just because the fact that the Tenant 1 has this unique feature where the plasma wave itself will then start ricocheting off of hard surface, therefore giving you a much more enhanced version of, mag in general. The more ricochet it has, the better. So the way it works is simple. Let me start spawning in some enemies here, therefore you guys know exactly how to use it. So what we're going to do is first hit the enemies with 10 stacks of viral. Doing so will then give us more damage output in general. So once they've got 10 stacks, you then want to go and strip their armor like so, hit them again with some, put up your number 2 and then start polarizing them. When that happens, just simply shoot. As you guys can tell, they have literally just been vaporized. And I mean, you can just keep doing this over and over. Mag is very good when it comes to closing down hallways or even creating choke points, because even if the enemy starts shooting you while they're in that bubble, they're literally going to be damaging themselves. And every time you go and kill someone, not only are you going to be proccing growing power, but also you'll be increasing your damage when it comes to Molt Augmented. And of course, every time you go and kill somebody, you'll be able to go and increase your weapons damage even further thanks to arcanes. Basically, there's lots of damage to just start stacking up on one another. That's how you go and deal insane levels of damage. So let me do this one more time. So what we want to do is prime the enemies first, because I have noticed that if you prime the enemies while they have armor, it deals a lot more damage. So prime them, armor strip them, and then start polarizing them. When you guys do so, then you can just start shooting them. And for some strange reason, I don't know why it's not polarizing them when I hit them initially, but yeah. And as you see, it just one-shots them. So just hit them with some viral and they're absolutely dead or literally vaporized. And I mean, you can only have 3 to 4 different bubbles up at a time, and for every bubble, all these bubbles, when they start to disappear, they'll then go and create an explosive damage. And trust me, because you're stripping the enemy's armor, they're just going to be absolutely insane damage. Ladies and gentlemen, I make some pretty awesome Warframe content, so if you guys like to go from 0 to hero as fast as humanly possible, go ahead and take a look at the rest of my videos. There will be a link down in the description, or a couple links to some of my players, so I do highly suggest you guys go and take a look at. If you want to learn to play Warframe, go from 0 to hero as fast as humanly possible. That's the whole purpose of the channel. I'll be suggesting some of them at the top right now. Some of them will also be on your screen, so I highly suggest you guys go and take a look at. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like to support me or the channel any further, do remember to leave a like on this video. It always helps me out substantially. Spartan, click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos and streams. We also do have a merch store, so if you would like to support your boy during these hard times, you can go and do so by taking a look at our merch store. There will be a link down in the description.